So, my hot tub stopped working. My lawnmower cord broke off the lawnmower. Our tripod decided to give up the ghost as well. And it's also busticated. But we don't have time to deal with any of those things because it's time for another DIY van build. And in this episode, I'm going to show you how we put a ceiling in the roof of this van. So if we're just meeting right now for the first time, my name's Jeff Dares. This channel is Dares Drives, and we are creating bite-sized, step-by-step videos on how we're converting this 2019 Mercedes Sprinter van into a 4x4 overland roaming home that we plan to travel the continent with. So if you like that kind of thing, now before we get started, I'm going to ask, if you have been subscribed to our channel for a while and you're enjoying the videos you're seeing, could I ask you a little favor? Could you share our video on one of your social media accounts? It seems that YouTube really is not putting us out there that much, and I think if we work together, maybe we get our videos out to a few more people so we can get a true idea if we're actually doing a good job or not. Does that sound fair? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now let's get started. So for our ceilings in the van, we are going to use this plywood right here, which is a premium sanded ply, which is 3/8 thick. This is going to be bendable enough that we're able to go around the curves that are inside that van. Because if you've ever been inside one of these vans before, you know as well as I do, there's not a frickin' straight piece to that. Now to mount this plywood, we are going to use what they call riv nuts. So these are little rivets that go in so we can put screws through into the metal of our van without actually putting a screw into the van, if that makes any type of sense. To install those riv nuts, you need a tool like this. So this is a riv nut gun, I guess is what they call it, something like that. And let me tell you, to go along with every other project we've done, we've had a ton of issues with this too. So when I ordered this, on the sheet itself, it said that these riv nuts were an imperial size, 1/4 to be exact. It actually gives a whole range of different sizes, but the 1/4 is what I want to use inside of our van. So, because I bought the mix pack, as you can see, it only comes with like 20 some odd of these, which I thought were 1/4 originally. Okay, so I went and bought a whole bunch more 1/4s, plus I bought the machine screws to match, which will go through our plywood, into the riv nut, and hold everything to the ceiling of our van. Unfortunately, it takes these dies, and these dies, they thread into the tool, and then your riv nut slides onto there, and then you put them in the middle, which I'll show you shortly. But when I went and got the 1/4 riv nut, which is the silver ones, and went to thread them on, they don't thread on at all. Like they get jammed. And after a whole bunch of messing around, fooling around, figuring out what's going on, I took one of my metric bolts, which are an M6, they thread right into it. It turns out that this is metric. It's not imperial. Well, at least this die is for metric thread sizes, not imperial like the website said. So I went and bought a new die, which is for imperial, so we could use these riv nuts right here. And of course, it now fits those riv nuts, but this side that threads into the tool is way too big. It doesn't fit the tool. So, with this job being very time consuming, I was hoping that after work during the weekday this week, I was gonna be able to put some time in to get it done. But here we are, Friday evening, and I'm still waiting for the actual machine screws to show up. But I need to get this party started. So I have 20 some odd of these that can be installed, and that's what I'm going to get to. And hopefully by the time this video posts on Sunday, all the stuff's here and I was able to complete the job so I can show you the finished. But you're gonna have to wait to the end of the video to find that out, I guess, aren't you? So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna take one sheet of this plywood right here and I'm gonna cut it into 3-inch strips on our table saw. And these 3-inch strips are gonna mount to these cross beams on the ceiling so that we have something to screw our actual ceiling to. So what we need is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 3/8 strips coming on up. Okay, I tricked you. Because we're not going to use the table saw in the traditional method that you'd use a table saw. So I'm going to take this off. I'm going to lower the blade all the way down. Then I'm going to take this sheet and I'm I'm gonna set it across our table like that. Then we're gonna take a piece of our aluminum railing, and we're gonna use that as a straight edge. Check this stuff out. This is the first time I've actually taken this stuff out of the box, even though we purchased it like months and months and months ago. A whole bunch of brackets and stuff. But this is gonna be the framing for all our cabinetry inside the van. Lighter than wood, stronger than wood, and obviously more expensive than wood, but so worth it. So I'm gonna use this piece right here so that I can measure out with our table saw. And we're gonna use that as a straight edge so we can use our skill saw to cut our 3-inch strip. Although I wanted to use the table saw, I can't run this thin of plywood in a 4x8 sheet all by myself. Just not physically possible, so I'm gonna have to do it the long way. Surprise! So first, I'll measure our 3-inch marks. Then we'll draw a straight line all the way down. And we'll line it up with our saw. And we'll continue that 7 or 8 more times, whatever number I gave you at the beginning there. So now we got 3-inch wide by 7 pieces. Wanna go see one up against there? I sure do. Look at that, see? It fits perfect. What? You'd almost think we knew what we were doing here, peeps. So now is the fun part, and that's riv nut. So a riv nut is one of these tiny little things. It's basically exactly what the name says. It's a rivet that is a nut. So the inside of that hole is threaded. I don't know if there's any way I could actually show you that. Yeah, there you go. See that? The inside of that hole is threaded. So what this does, it lets us take a piece of sheet metal like this, drill a hole in it, and give us a threaded insert that we can thread a machine screw into. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this old piece of metal and I'm gonna drill it out with a hole in it and show you exactly how these riv nuts work. Then we'll take our tool. How am I gonna show this to you? You recording? You are. So we'll take this. It's reverse threaded, and we'll slide it into there and tighten her down. Then we're going to slide this down over top. So then you thread that on, so it's all in place. Then we stick it through our hole that we drilled. And now the tool's broken. It won't frickin' squish another nut after this. Never got one into the van. How the heck am I gonna get this video done? So it turns out, Princess Auto might be able to save us in this dilemma. So I'll be right back. Hello. Oh, are you? Okay. Can you just tell me if you brought the riv nut tool? Yeah, it's right there. Okay. Yeah. I'll just go pay for it. Thank you. Yeah, that wasn't so bad, was it? Now let's get to work. So here's our new tool. So let me open this up and let's see if this works better than that piece of crap did. And there she is. So you can feel it right off the bat. It's definitely like, it feels heavier duty than this thing did. And the positive is, look, it has 1/4-20 mandrel, which means I can use all the things I bought instead of waiting for the ones that are supposed to show up today, which haven't shown up yet. So we're in business, my friends. So let's pop a rivet in and we'll show you how this works properly. Mandrel is gonna thread into the end of this. Okay, so now that it's in like that, I should be able to put it in the hole that we pre-drilled, give her a good squeeze. Oh, it's a lot tighter than the other one, that's for sure. Then we'll squeeze it. And then unthread it. Look at that. Not bad for an amateur, eh? Now let's actually go put one in the van. What do you think? And back to these posts that go across the roof of the van that we were talking about. And as you can see, they already have holes in them from the factory. But the actual holes don't quite fit the riv nut. But we're gonna end up putting them in there so that we got a spot to thread our screws into and screw the roof screw the ceiling to the roof. Let me show you. Okay, so this is those furring strips we just made, and they're gonna fit right up into there onto those posts, one on every one. So I've planned out the holes. I don't think I actually have to tell you the measurement, but I'm just gonna drill it out. And see, now that riv nut fits right into that hole perfectly. So if we take our tool, actually no, paint. We must paint that hole so we have no bare metal creating rust. Please don't fall. So now we'll just thread our rivet on like we showed you in the garage. Put it up through the hole and squeeze. And then unthread it. And bada bing, bada boom, my friends. We have a perfectly threaded hole that goes into our rooftop, which is super secure. That ain't going nowhere. And that'll be able to hold all of our roof up, as well as some of our cabinets. So we do have to do a little bit of pre-planning for that, but I'm just gonna do the same thing all the way across here. Now we got a whole bunch of holes that we're able to screw into across that board. So we're gonna do that the rest of the way down. Oh, there we go. Let me tell you how much fun that is. There's something you don't want to have to do twice, let me tell you that. Although, we still have to do it for all of our walls. But that's not what we got to worry about this week. So, as you can see, everything's in. We got rivets across every beam that we need our furring strips to go on. So the next challenge now is when I push these into place, I now have to, oh, come on. So when I push these up into place, I now have to find out how to line up those riv nuts with a hole at the bottom of our furring strip. This is where I got a little bit creative. Now you might have different ideas for it, but this is what I came up with. Let me show you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these hanger bolts. So you'll see they're kind of like two bolts threaded onto each other with no head. One side has a 1/4-20 machine screw type thread to it, and the other one has like a screw with a point on the end of it. So once I thread these into those riv nuts that are in our channels, I can now take our piece of wood or our furring strip, press it up against the bottom of those, and bada bing, bada boom, look, we now have the marks in the bottom of our wood that we can easily drill out our holes like a template. So now that we have our marks on our board, let's measure 1.5 inches on either side, the halfway point of the board. Okay, draw a straight line all the way down the middle of the board. And now we know where our marks are and we know what dead center is on the board. See? And then they end up looking like that. Pretty sweet, eh? But we're gonna take this back off now that we know it fits. And I'm gonna cover it in this waterproof wood finish, which is clear. And we're just gonna cover all the edges, the whole thing, as well as the bolt holes, just to ensure that any humidity or condensation that might form in the van does not soak into this wood and cause it to start rotting in behind the walls, because that would be bad news. So now we're just gonna do that the rest of the way down to every single one of them exactly the same, adding Loctite to every single screw. Whew. And 5,000 screws later, we got this all framed. See? We've gone all the way from the back all the way to the front with all the frame pieces. They're all waterproofed. I think they look pretty sharp. All the way to the front. Whew. I could really use that hot tub right now. Too bad it's broken. But we're not done yet, my friends. It's time for the ceiling panels. So I'm gonna start with the front where we have the fan, because that'll be the hardest one to get done. That and the rear fan. These ones are gonna be pretty straightforward. And now it's a brand new day, my friends. This kid needed some rest. It was getting pretty late. The struggle's freaking real. This van life takes over your life. And I feel maybe sharing some of those struggles we go through brings value to you guys. But it does create the video to be a bit longer. So I'm really interested to hear the feedback from my audience. What do you want to see? Would you rather me just cut that stuff right out, get to the meat and potatoes of the video and get the project done, show you how it's done? Or do you like seeing some of the struggle stuff? Please, please, please comment below. I'm really interested to know. Either way, let's get back to work. So, we were talking about cutting out this piece for the fan. So I have gone and put this piece in right here. So it's just got riv nuts and machine bolts again, just like we did with all the other stuff. Okay, nice and simple. so we can screw to both sides. So to save time, I've already cut the piece of wood that's gonna go right in this panel. Okay, so it's gonna fit up right up against our furring strips and sit right in there. And of course, our fan is on the other side of this. So we were thinking ahead. We did put these quick connects on our fan, in which we can just unplug. Then pulling our ladders out and going up on top of the van, we know it's only 4 screws to pull that whole fan unit out. So pulling that out with our board in place, we can now just simply draw out our square, bring it down to the garage, cut the square out, and then we'll seal it again with our paint. And once we reinstall it, this is what it looks like, my friends. Okay, so it's up there. It's completely solid. There's no way it's going anywhere. We've got both sides sealed with our paint, and our hole, as you'll see with our flange, slides right inside there. Now we do have to cut that back, but that's after we put our finishing touches on the ceiling, which you're gonna have to stick around for. But that's pretty much what she's gonna look like. Now I'm gonna repeat this process for every single panel in the van. Oh, there she is. We got a roof now, check it out. We got all our wires run. We got them dropped down through the ceiling in all the spots they need to be. We got it all glued, screwed, waterproofed. It looks pretty good, I gotta say. All our seams are nice and clean. And I even have these 3 extra bolts in which go right into riv nuts in the roof of the van, in which now we can mount our overhead cabinets to that. There's more to come on that in the future. But it looks clean, my friends, and to think, this is just Romer's underwear. You're not even gonna see any of this when the build's actually done, so it didn't even have to look this good. Now you will notice at the very back of the van, as well as near the sliding door, there are some gaps in the ceiling, and that's because future projects, there's gonna be stuff built there, so there's no need for the ceiling to be in place. But a good build is all in the bones, my friends. So with that being said, it's now very, very late, and I need to get inside and actually make this video so you guys can watch it tomorrow, being Sunday. So if you made it this far and you enjoyed what you saw and you haven't subscribed yet, maybe consider hitting that button. No pressure, of course, you do you, but it is completely free and it does mean the world to me. If you have subscribed, thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, as always, we will see you next Sunday. Perfect.